Melanie Martinez. Where do I even begin with this shit show of a movie? Let's just jump right in. Now, before I begin, I'd like to say something about Melanie Martinez. I was a big fan of her. Back in 2016, 2017, whenever, I don't even remember the year, I loved her shit. Like, her first album that came out, I enjoyed it. I own a copy of Crybaby. I saw her in concert even. Like, I liked her a lot. Then the allegations came out, and at that point, I didn't really listen to her as much anymore, keep up with her as much anymore, so I kind of just was like, okay, whatever. And then the allegations were proved to be false, and I was like, okay, I still don't really listen to her that much anymore, and I'm starting to notice some weird things about her, so I'm gonna stay away anyway. And then apparently, after the allegations, she either completely went off the fucking deep end or something, because this movie is, when I tell you garbage, I mean garbage. Now, I just watched it about an hour ago, so it's still fresh in my mind. So let's just start. The movie starts with Melanie Martinez waking. Oh, her character is called Crybaby in this. I'm not surprised by that. She wakes up and starts telling us about a dream she had where all her teeth got ripped out and there were angels talking to her. Now, this immediately starts off on a weird note for me, and it immediately makes my sensors go. The first issue I have with this entire movie is that she tries super, super hard to be all deep and poetic throughout the entire thing, and it doesn't work at all. I want you to imagine, the creepy school shooter type kid that hisses at people enters a poetry contest. That's what the whole movie sounds like. The writing is just absolute garbage. She consistently tries really hard throughout the movie to be as edgy and deep and meaningful as possible at the same time, and it doesn't work at all. It clashes with her aesthetic, and B, she clearly doesn't know how to do writing like that in any way, shape, or form, and it just ends up bad. So just to move on to the actual story of the movie. The movie immediately starts with her being like, this is my alcoholic mother, she won't drive me to school, wah, pity me, She gets on the school bus, and everybody is wearing baby clothes. Very, very, very her style. But this is where I immediately get turned off, because technically the movie is supposed to be a progression through grades K through 12. At the beginning of the movie, she's technically in first grade, a child, and these children on the school bus are having sex in the back of the school bus and doing drugs in the back of the school bus, and that immediately sends the alarm bells off in my head. Melanie Martinez has this amazing ability to fetishize children and childlike behavior and turn it into a weird sexual thing. And that she doesn't shy away from that in this movie at all. Immediately in the beginning of the movie, when these people are technically supposed to be in first grade, she's like, you know what I'm going to have these supposed children do? I'm going to have them fuck on the school bus and also smoke a lot of weed. Why? There's really no reason for it at all. It's all of the weird sexual shit that she throws in throughout the movie is not needed, and honestly is quite gross and fetishy, and it's just fucking weird. She mentions weed a lot in the movie. I don't know what's up with that. I don't know when I don't know. The whole thing for me is if you have this childlike aesthetic and your whole thing is childhood innocence and pretty pastel colors and stuffed animals and sippy cups and stuff, why would you turn that into a weird sex thing? Her whole fascination and concentration on childlike behavior is kind of fucking weird to me, and it's really seen throughout this movie. But moving on. I wish I could just tell you what happens in the movie, but it's really hard to identify. It's all over the place. The storyline is not concrete or linear at all. and everything is just like in the air all the time. So what happens after this is she gets off the school bus and she goes to school with her best friend, who is like the secondary character in the movie, and all this shit happens. Like at one point she's in class and then she has nap time, but it's like, I don't know. The whole premise of the movie is that Melanie Martinez is a child going through school, but at the same time, I'm not making this up, at the same time she's a demon with supernatural powers. What? That's actually what happens. Like throughout the movie, her and the best friend character, like at random points, their eyes literally turn black and they do magic. Like it's fucking hilarious. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. It's dumb. If you want to be like, I don't get it. So whatever. She does magic and shit, and the whole premise of the movie is I'm growing up and I'm an adolescent, and I also can do magic. Isn't that fucking sick? That's the movie. Now, I'd also like to mention, I recognize that this is a movie that was made to not detail, but to showcase her new music and her new album coming out. So it's like a music video movie. So I understand it can't really be like put under the same lens, like the same critical lens as like an actual movie, but I'm gonna do it anyway. To move on, throughout the movie, she includes random political scenes for no reason that have zero follow-up, and the characters involved in these scenes never come back and nothing is ever solved. And I think she does this just to get like clout points or like fake woke points or whatever. Like literally the two that I'm thinking of is in the beginning of the movie, there's a young man who is black and he's sitting down, and the Pledge of Allegiance comes on, and he does not stand for the pledge, and he gets in trouble, and he gets taken away and like thrown in the principal's office in like a violent way. That's one of the random political inserts in this movie that has no business being there. The second being, at one point, there was a trans woman who was talking to the principal and explaining that she wanted her name changed to Mrs. Harper, or Miss Harper rather than Mr. Harper, and she gets fired. Now, the issue with these two political scenes is, why the fuck did you add them in? That's the issue. Because, first off, they have nothing to do with the movie. They have zero follow-up. These characters never come back again in the movie. There's no solution for these characters. Nothing gets fixed. It's just thrown in for clout points. I swear to God, there's no reason for it to be there at all. I recognize that with this movie, she's trying to make like a social commentary about like the fucked up things that happen in America and what it's like to go through adolescence as a teenage girl and how everything sucks. And I recognize that. I know what she's trying to do with the movie. I know what she's trying to say, like what her message is. She just does it badly. The scenes and the topics presented in the film are all over the place. There's not a solid like linear passage of like of how things go throughout the movie. Like at one point you'll be fucking, I don't know, she'll be doing schoolwork and then suddenly she'll be in an underground like nap castle doing magic and shit with like no connections in between whatsoever. It doesn't make sense. Everything is just all over the place in a big squiggly line of what the fuck is this? A lot of scenes that were thrown into the movie were just completely useless and added in for like woke points or to be edgy or deep. Like she has a scene where one of her songs is playing in the background, and I would assume that this would just technically be for like a musical context, but she has a random scene throughout the movie where it tackles eating disorders, and they like rip a girl's scalp open and pour orange juice into her head, and then she rips her eyeballs out for no fucking reason. It's just to be edgy and cool, I guess. I don't know. She tackles a bunch of random issues throughout the movie in the worst possible way possible, with no way of them ever being solved. They never get solved in the movie. Like she tackles like fucking eating disorders and bullying and drugs in like 5 seconds flat. Like there is no leeway to sponge up any of the information happening. And not to mention, all of the issues in the movie are touched upon in about 5 seconds, maybe 5 minutes. Like there's no continued discussion about any of the issues in the movie. They're just like, bam, here's an eating disorder. Let's take it back. Anyway, we're demons in the school again. Back to you, Melanie. A lot of people are gonna comment hate and be like, oh my god, Big Nicky Fresh, you just don't understand what she's trying to say. Like, you don't understand the symbolism. No, I understand. I know what she's trying to do. I know what she's trying to say. Again, she just does it really fucking badly and really cheesily, like in a terrible way. She could have touched upon these issues and like given them solutions, or at least given certain ones more time and maybe left some out. Like, you don't need to talk about trans harassment in the workforce, not standing for the pledge, eating disorders, sexualizing women, and misogyny, and like all of this shit all in like a 30-minute period. You could have easily, as a director, you could have easily like really touched upon certain issues while leaving out the ones that are not needed, such as the trans harassment in the workforce and standing for the flag. I recognize that these are things happening in America right now, and I'm sure she wanted to point that out, but it's just not needed, and it leads the watcher askew. It makes people watching it confused, like, well, why the fuck did that happen? Is that a part of the story? No? Well, okay, I don't get it then, you know? I think the only good thing I have to say about the movie is that her costume design and choreography for the music parts is really good. I mean, it's good, but the reason for that is because she's a musical artist. She's not a filmmaker. She's not a director, and she shouldn't try to be. You can't be all these things at once, because then you're going to make garbage like this, and it's just going to be really bad. I see people praising this movie and being like, oh my god, Melanie Martinez is so deep, and she's tackling so many issues. But she's not. She's not. She's presenting an issue to the camera and then doing nothing to tackle it is the problem. All the while, in turn, creating her own issues by sexualizing the fuck out of children in the childlike aesthetic. Why? It's gross. You're no better than all those DDLG freaks. It's fucking weird. Like, I remember at one scene, like, when they're in the beginning of the movie, when they're considered to be in first grade, the two girls like bend over and show their underwear, and it says like fuck off on their underwear because haha edgy. But like, why? Just for fun? It's weird. It's gross. I understand that a lot of her artistic inclusions in the movie are just to fit like her aesthetic, you know, her like cartoony, like airy type of aesthetic, but it doesn't fit. If you want to make like a social commentary movie and be taken seriously about how certain issues affect people in America, you can't have it both ways. You can't make something like that and expect to be taken seriously, all the while being like, by the way, I'm a demon, my eyes glow black, and I can make fire come out of my hands. Also, check out this sexy dancing sequence of me in a giant case while children watch me. What the fuck is up with that, dude? You're not going to be taken seriously if that's a direction that you want to go in. You have to pick one or the other. The special effects are garbage, but I'm going to give her leeway on that because, again, she's not a director. She's not, like, experienced in that shit. And I was talking about this movie with one of my friends, and she said that, you know, the cheesy, bad special effects might have to do with, like, maybe she wants it like that because that's her aesthetic. So I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt with that, and I guess I could understand that part, but, like, the other stuff is just inexcusable and, like, poorly done, really. Do I recommend this movie? Absolutely not. If you were wondering if you should watch it or not, I say no. Like, I mean, if you really want to, just to see what it's all about, and you want to shave an hour and a half off of your lifespan like I did, then fucking go ahead, really. I don't care, but it's not good, man. It's really not. So, just as, like, a closing statement, and, like, a bullet list, the movie is trash because nothing is linear. Everything is, like, all over the place. Random unneeded inclusions of political, like, commentary that confuses people watching it, and it's like she includes random shit for woke points. She tries really fucking hard to be edgy and like cool, and it's like laughable and kind of cringy because she does it poorly. She sexualizes kids and like childlike behavior and like makes that whole thing her aesthetic, and it's weird. And there's just too much going on in the movie to make it enjoyable to watch and understand, really. So yeah, that's how I feel about that. Let me know how you feel about the movie in the comments. Unless you're Melanie Martinez stan coming to tell me to kill myself, in which case, don't say anything. I already knew. I already know. There's no point. Yeah, I don't know. Goodbye.